Hi, everyone. Today is August 6th, and we're talking about the internet. And on this date, back in 1991, Tim Berners-Lee was writing on forums at the CERN, the Science Research Center in Europe and in Switzerland, about the idea of kind of getting collaboration for the start of the World Wide Web. And actually, I have visited CERN. When I was visiting Europe for the first time, my French teacher, who was organizing the trip, was able to get a visit to the facility and some guided tour of some of the places. So yeah, I have actually I have been to the place where the internet was first conceived, and to think about the impact it has had on my life. It's I mean, there's not enough I can say. I started, I think at least probably around 94, or even maybe earlier, like 93 or so, when there was America Online and chatting with people in these forums. I remember there was one there was like a Disney Channel, some magazine that they had, and they had a forum, and they were allowing unsupervised kids to be chatting with each other. So I think that was back when I was probably like about 12 or so. Yeah, so I've been definitely using the internet for about 30 years now. And at that time, it was a dial-up modem. So anytime I was using the internet, the landline would be occupied. It would be busy. And so anybody who was trying to make an actual phone call could not get through. So that was a problem. It wasn't until years later that there was Wi-Fi, and then you could be able to use the phone again while using the internet. And there was a service later on that would kind of be an internet answer machine. So if the phone was busy, a message could get through to say, "Hey, I'm trying to call. Can you call me back?" So that was helpful, and there were no cell phones at the time. Then I think I started using the internet for looking for things on music. I was starting to get into writing music with MIDI, the musical digital interface. So I could find MIDI files of songs and learn them with the software that it could play on the computer, and then on the piano that was connected, and then I could learn those songs. And I think I was also doing things with video games and finding information about like cheat codes and things for games I was playing on the Sega, and then what else? I remember my mom getting email at the university where she was working at, and my mom and my brother being able to exchange emails when he went to university. This is probably like 94, 95. And I was looking up things at the university library as well, that they had internet access and websites and things like Netscape. What else? Yeah, later Google was invented and that started. It's crazy to think of how many things I use Google with now, all the products and services that they've expanded into. Then there was music that people were sharing online. Things like Napster and those sharing things. What else? There was no Facebook or Twitter or YouTube when I was in high school, so I wasn't using any of that for that. When some of the students visited us from Europe in '98, before we went to visit them in Europe in '99, they introduced me to a messaging service called ICQ, and I was able to practice languages with people from all around the world, and that was helpful. And I still remember trying to write down, transcribe some of the messages I received in Russian, basic Russian. Their Russian was advanced, but it took me forever to translate or to find some of the verbs and things. And there was no Google Translate because Google didn't exist. So it took me a while to figure out, based on some of the dictionaries and tools that I had, to like, okay, you are taking too long to reply. I have to leave now. Goodbye. And it took me a while to find that message, to figure out that message by the time they left. But otherwise, it was useful for practicing texting. There was no audio or video. That was impossible. So it was just like texting. And then eventually audio was supported for voice messaging or live voice chatting. So yeah, that could be through the internet. And then little by little, the social media platforms began to appear. And I think I joined Facebook in like 2008, like my last year living in Europe. Started using that, even though it had existed for a couple of years. But yeah, I was kind of a late adopter on some of the stuff. And what else? Now I'm teaching online, and when I first heard about people teaching through Skype, I was using Skype to communicate with my family when I was living in Europe. I remember even one time calling at home and saying, "Hey, are you guys watching a football game? There's like college football." And I said, "Hey, could you put Skype on and turn the video towards the TV so I could kind of get an idea of the game?" And it really felt like I was sitting on the sofa with my family, because there's more than just the game. It's just all these little side conversations that they're having, like during the timeouts or the commercials. And I just really missed all of that because I wasn't living there. So it was kind of a really fun memory I had of doing that. Even if it was like 3 a.m. for me, it felt like I was watching the game, like an evening game with them. And yeah, now I'm making these videos for YouTube and practicing languages, and able to share teaching lessons with students around the world, in lessons on Skype and Zoom, and putting content out on social media, and having my own website since 2015, but hesitating for a long time. I was like, should I get a website? And again, these things of like, I should have done this earlier and sooner. But yeah, it has completely changed on talking with people from around the world, consuming content from different countries, and text, audio, video, and now there's these artificial intelligence tools that are developing at a staggering speed, and so it's constantly evolving, and the limits of what the technology can do, it's just constantly evolving. It's incredible to have witnessed all of this, all of these technological advances in the matter of 30 years or so, and that's been a huge chunk of my life, and I still have memories of before all of this, whereas people who are younger than me have really only just grown up with access to these tools, and they don't really see the before and after of that. And my own children definitely are very digital, with tablets, cell phones, and using YouTube, and having to use Zoom during the pandemic, and so they definitely do not know a before of any of these tools. They are very much kind of like born into this, and it's to kind of to anticipate what will technology evolve into for them as they get older. It's interesting. Hola a todos, hoy es el 6 de agosto y hablamos sobre el internet, y bueno, acabo de hablar por 11 minutos en inglés sobre eso, pero casi toda mi vida, cuando llegué a como los 11, 12 años, pues empecé, yo creo, a usar los foros en línea para hablar con otros niños de mi edad, poco a poco para la música, y acceso al internet con búsquedas y correos, y luego las redes sociales que llegaron, y ahorita soy profesor en línea, estoy haciendo esta grabación para YouTube, y produzco contenido para enseñar a alumnos en muchos países del mundo. Sí, el internet ha completamente transformado mi vida, y hay, sí, en casi todo, del consumo de productos, consumo de información, y la compu ya es mi tele. Ni siquiera tengo una tele, por ejemplo, y puedo ver cosas del entretenimiento en línea. Puedo hacer compras en línea, entonces hay muchísimas cosas que se puede hacer con el internet. Sí. Bonjour tout le monde, aujourd'hui c'est le 6 août, on parle un petit peu de l'internet et comment ça a transformé tellement de choses pour beaucoup de gens, et je suis assez vieux pour me rappeler de avant et après, quand tout ça est arrivé, et petit à petit la technologie a évolué, et maintenant je travaille en ligne, j'ai accès à contenu de partout dans le monde, et c'est vraiment transformateur, tout ce qui s'est passé avec l'internet. Il y a des listes et des listes énormes de ce qui a changé depuis. Mais voilà. Hallo an alle, heute ist der 6. Tag im August, und wir sprechen ein bisschen darüber Internet. Und ich kann sagen, dass ich erinnere mich an viele Dinge, vor und danach. Und ich hatte Internet, als ich war jünger. Wann hatte ich 10, 11, 12 Jahre? Als ich war 11, 12 Jahre alt und ja, das ist 30 Jahre, dass ich benutze, dass ich use Internet und ich arbeite mit Internet für Stunde mit Zoom, mit Skype und ich kenne viele Studenten von anderen Ländern und es gibt viele, viele, viele Dinge in das Leben. Das ist different mit Internet jetzt. Ja, das è ciao a tutti, oggigiorno 6 parliamo un po' di internet e come ha cambiato la vita e in 30 anni ha passato moltissime cose, ma mi ricordo quando avevo stato bambino e avevo cominciato a utilizzare internet e molte cose hanno cambiato e ora sono professore in internet e posso aiutare molti studenti nel mondo e ci sono molte cose. Questo è tutto. Всем привет, сегодня 6 августа и parliamo un po'. Мы говорим немного о интернете и как это начало и с чем я могу делать много вещей с интернетом. И, например, я сейчас преподаватель по интернету, и у меня есть веб-сайт, и я говорю с много студентами по миру, и интернет помогает мне с много и так далее. Это все на сегодня. Большое спасибо, пока.